Let's go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bingetown TV. This is Brian here with Jimmy, Kyle, and producer Dave PD. And today we're going to be talking HBO's new hit series, The Last of Us. This is going to be season 1, episode 4, entitled Please Hold to My Hand. And I've been saying it every week, but once again, if you like what you hear for the next hour or so, be sure to visit us on Bingetown TV. Be sure to visit us on BingetownTV.com. We have a full catalog of episodes. We cover everything from The Boys to The Mandalorian. Speaking of which, The Mandalorian has a new season coming out this upcoming March. We're definitely going to be covering that. Currently, we're obviously covering The Last of Us. We are also covering Yellow Jackets, which will also be returning for season 2 in March. So we got a lot of stuff. All of our 300 episode catalog of stuff can be found on BingetownTV.com. And if you really want to support the podcast, just feel free to subscribe. YouTube, Apple Podcast app, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, just hit that subscribe button. And we really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. But here we go, guys. Episode 4, The Last of Us. Please hold to my hand. And I want to start things off with a fond welcome back to our boy Jimmy.
Yes.
He wasn't infected after all. We checked him with the scanner. It was green. He's good to go.
Dude, how do you know I don't have an immunity?
Could be.
I might just be immune. But yeah, no, I was green, so we're good to go. You guys are allowed to hang out with me. I missed a tough one. That was a really good episode. Episode 3 was phenomenal. Don't want to talk too much about it just because I know you guys killed it with your episode, but I just want to give a couple claps. Murray Bartlett and Nick Offerman, let's go. Great seeing our girl back, Tess, just for a little bit. I hope we do get a few more flashbacks with her. But yeah, that episode was amazing. Episode 4 was great too. I can't wait to talk with you guys about it, but yeah, I missed a tough one. It hurt to miss that one, but I thought I was infected, guys. But we're back. We're back, baby.
Yeah, the truth is you got a little hungover. At your young 30 age. I love it.
Can't handle his alcohol
like
I
used to.
Yep.
Are you sure it wasn't the alcohol that has the cordyceps in it, not the green?
That would probably spread quicker than the flour.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So I haven't really been doing this, but I want to take a page out of Luke's playbook here and go over the IMDb ratings, because this has been pretty critically acclaimed, I think, for the most part. But I'm just going to rip through them here, ending with episode 4, of course. Episode 1 got a 9.2. Episode 2 got a 9.2. Episode 3 took a dip, got a 7.9. But strangely, I feel like I saw the most internet chatter about episode 3, and a lot of the internet noise was positive. Yeah, we do kind of know why.
And then
we got episode 4 was an 8.6. Obviously episode 4 is a return to kind of the formula that was killing it in the first 2 episodes. So that's kind of what we're working with here. And now I kind of want to turn it over to you 3. What are we thinking about episode 4?
I would say just with going along kind of like comparing it to the first 3 episodes as well, they're kind of taking us on a bit of a roller coaster ride. I feel like the first episode was an hour and 20 minutes, and then we came back for the second episode, which was like 45 to 50, and we even said like it felt like, not that we got robbed, but it felt like it was very striking, kind of the difference in the lengths. And then last episode 3 was pretty chunky boy, if I remember correctly,
or
at the very least,
as well.
It felt like it, watching it. And then again, we returned this week with like a 45 to 50 minute episode. So it feels weird, kind of, that like the average episode length is probably longer than an hour, but there's such big differences between the episodes. Because this episode felt really short, like not a ton of things happened, although they did. The action scenes were good. It just felt like this was really the first time I felt like after an episode, like, okay, that not like that was a waste, but it was like not a ton of things happened, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Dave. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I really thought it was a solid episode, but you're right, Kyle. Definitely when we opened up the HBO Max app and, we're ready to click episode 4, we saw the runtime was 45 minutes. We were like, we're getting shortchanged this week. But it was really another great episode. I think now we're really getting the development of these characters here, especially with Ellie and Joel. So I just really like this episode. A good blend of a little bit of action, as well as these like caring, really well thought out like moments between the two of our duo. So I really like the episode, but yes, we definitely got shortchanged on the runtime.
It's interesting to think about what makes them decide how they're going to do it. Like, we knew episode 1 made total sense. Give a half hour to the whatever, not the prequel, but the intro to the video game, the intro to the whole TV show 20 years back. That was perfect. We didn't need that to be a full episode, and we didn't need it to be 5 minutes. So to give that its own half hour and then add a full episode to that and made it about an hour and a half, that was perfect. I'm not complaining at all that episode 3 was an hour and 20 because, again, we talked about the 7.9. That's bullshit. It was review bombs. Like, it probably would be the top reviewed, but, it came out that it was review bombed with 1,000,001 stars for whatever, So, like you said, Kyle, it's a roller coaster. It's the show's so good and I'm enjoying it so much that when I see the 45, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
And
again, it's not like nothing happened. Like Dave said, there's some good Joel and Ellie, and we meet now this new faction. Yeah. It felt like a bridge episode more than anything.
So here's the thing. We already almost are confirmed. I'm pretty sure it's like fully confirmed that season 1 is part 1 and season 2 is part 2, and maybe they'll expand part 2 to be more if if they want to make more money or whatever they need to do. But if you think about like Game of Thrones, 8 seasons, and if an episode like that happens, you're like, this is just part of the journey, man. Like season 1, episode 4, let's go, baby. This is just part of the journey. But knowing that this is a 1 season story where, there's 9 episodes, I'm not complaining again that nothing happened, but again, it is a little bit of a filler. It's not progressing too much. Now, I think the character development part of it pushed to the sky. That was amazing. I was gonna say this in my intro when you gave me the floor, Brian, but Kathleen, again, the Kathleen that we keep talking about, that I don't know if she's ever actually gonna join The Last of Us, but she's in our group chat. She was saying how she's really upset and how it's crazy that all these people are just hating on Bella Ramsey. I just think that she's amazing, like unbelievably amazing. As someone who loved the video games, and I love the Ellie that was in the video games, I think she's perfectly doing what she needs to do as Ellie. We talked about this in episode 2, me and Brian, and I think she's adding her own. I really think she's phenomenal, and this shows it even more. There's a lot that goes on in this episode, character-wise, where you're seeing her be vulnerable, you're seeing her be freaking hilarious, you're seeing her be a badass. It's just all over the place for both her and Joel. And Bella Ramsey's flexing those acting muscles. I've really enjoyed her.
Is she getting that much hate online?
Kathleen said that, I don't know. I guess it's just the video game people, but she said that she's getting some major heat.
It sounds like
she got huge heat for when she was cast because everyone was like, she doesn't look like Ellie, blah, blah, blah. That was like the biggest thing. But
yeah,
everyone needs to relax on that.
I think people are just building off that hate of her not looking like the game. And I think this episode for me was probably the best Ellie episode. And I've been saying that each episode. So that just shows to the audience that, at least for me, I've been loving her performance so far.
And the show is a smashing success so far. So clearly she's doing a great job of, shouldering the burden, quote unquote, of being like the second, co-star to Pedro and playing off of him very well. I think I saw like the viewership increased almost like 20% between episode 3 and 4.
Wow.
It just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah.
Maybe
already,
like the video game,
hit like 17 million or something like that.
Maybe also
literally
the controversies with episode 3, probably like all that interaction online. People were like, okay, I got to see this for myself now.
And then they fell in love when they saw episode 3.
And then they saw the masterpiece, man.
Yeah, they're sat down.
It's also probably just taking
strawberries.
a couple weeks as like a video game based. Never mind. I forget the point I was trying to make. I don't know. Anything about episode 4 here before we dive in, Dave?
Shout out to Melanie Linsky, man. Fucking crushed it as a new character. Shout out Yellow Jackets. We cover that here on the podcast. Me and B-Toms are coincidentally rooks on that as well. And we've been absolutely loving that. And older Shauna, so her name is Shauna in Yellow Jackets. And she has been one of my favorite characters in Yellow Jackets. So I definitely have high expectations for her role in The Last of Us. And she's been killing it so far, I think. So I'm ready to get into it.
She's got a good name.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name is Kathleen. What are the odds of that? But Kathleen was also not a character in the video game. So I will present
was
that to
not.
you guys up front. That is someone who was manufactured specifically for the show. And, I kind of guess we'll get into the reasons why when we get to her character. But here we go. We open with Ellie playing with her newly acquired gun. Just, I don't know. What were you guys thinking of this scene? Did it seem like that was the first time she had ever wielded a gun, or did she know she knew what she was doing?
Maybe not the first time, nor did she really know what she was doing. Like the kind of the round that was chambered kind of pops out of her, and it kind of not scares her, but it startles her a little bit. So like she obviously knows how to like take a magazine out, and she knows how to like and move the parts of the gun. But they've been hinting at the fact, and then we really, we get it pretty much outwardly said at the end of this episode that she has some level of violence in her past, which we'll get to. So she's not
I don't know if we
either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about it now or later, but we do know that she said Fedra taught her how to kind of use a gun. Joel kind of like was like, "Whoa, that's not the right." So I know that she popped the bullet out, took the magazine out, but I'm just like sitting there with her pointing at the mirror, and I'm like, "There's gonna be a loud bang." I was like, I had my headphones in, and I was like, I don't want this to happen. Like,
I was waiting for her to like shoot the mirror and cut herself or something.
Yeah,
but I guess we should give her
Joel
more
coming in and
credit
yell at her.
because nothing they've given us suggests that she is like that uncoordinated or would mess up in that sense. So
except she can't swim.
it's not her fault, though.
Yeah, nah, it's not. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I wanted to ask you guys, and I don't know, we can table it or we could talk about it now, is do you think that when she says I've done it in the past, it was the kill to the infected in the last episode that she stabbed in the head, or do you think she's actually killed an innocent person or a live person in her past?
To be honest,
I feel like, go ahead, Dave.
To be honest, at first when she said it, I instantly thought she was referring to the infected that she saw in the last episode. But the way she delivered it made it seem like it was more human related rather than clicker related, because there was some emotion in her voice, and I don't think she really maybe felt much emotion when she did put that clicker out of its misery. And so to me, it felt like there was probably some kind of scuff that she got into at school, maybe, and things maybe went too far. Because you guys are right. I think she is on paper violent in nature, and I think she she kind of like idolizes the gun almost, because she's like, oh, I've never actually seen one, and she is violent, so she probably likes it a little bit more. But there also goes back into the episode 3 of her like just moral dilemma of would I be able to pull this trigger in the moment? And but at the end of the day, I still took it as I think she wasn't referring to the clicker that she saw in the last episode.
I feel like it's probably a combo of the two. She's asked Joel about him killing clickers and like thinking about how they used to be people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like her going into the mall seems like that was obviously a purposeful point that they made. That conversation about the mall is then followed up like with the question about what it's like to kill them and things like that. So it seems like I wouldn't be shocked if it is something like someone she knew who then turned, and then she had to do something like that.
And we did have that weird look that she gives Joel when he's killing the guard in the very beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And she does talk to him about that too. And that adds a layer to that conversation as well. If it's maybe her looking for reassurance after she did something that she's not feeling great about, in the mall or whatever it was, to get to the mall. I mean, we know that her partner, Riley, it was, right? The one that Marlene talks about. Technically, she says, oh, is she a bad person, Riley? Because she was a firefly, quote unquote. So who knows what she got into being partners, friends, whatever it is with Riley. So
it could be either way. It could be like maybe Riley was someone like maybe Riley turned like that because of Ellie being like doing something stupid. And then whatever had to happen. Or maybe the other way of like Ellie had the chance maybe to like save Riley. And again, they talked about Riley in the past tense, so I'm assuming something maybe happened. But Ellie like couldn't get herself to actually like do something like shoot a gun or stab an infected. And like that hesitation is what caused something bad to happen to Riley. And now she's essentially trying to prove herself to herself over and over and over again.
And this is actually cool because me and Brian, it's from the DLC. We don't freaking know. We actually never played and we don't know. And I was thinking, what if it's actually something where, and because Kyle, I didn't think about this until you just said it, because I love everything you said, because I think you're definitely nailing it with either that, or if you want to flip it, it could be that she got bit and Riley was like, I got to kill you now. And she was defending herself to stay
That's
alive
good,
and
too.
had to kill Riley, which is
That's
actually
really
killing
good.
a real person. So yeah, it could be either. And it's crazy how we don't know. And even in playing the normal game, Brian, I don't know if you remember or not. And I don't know if you want to say if it's a spoiler, but I can't remember if she says she killed people in the past before she met Joel. It's not so fresh in my head that something like that I would know.
Yeah, I don't remember it if she does say it being so black and white. Maybe she alludes to it or something, but
Yeah.
no, I don't think that's an established thing in the game.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
But as we go along here, Ellie walks out of the gas station to Joel siphoning gas, and a lot of the next like 5 to 10 minutes are just like some good dialogue back and forth that are kind of like lore world building.
Yeah.
First off, his knowledge of how siphoning gas works is very superficial. Like he can't explain it to Ellie, which I got a kick out of. She whips out the no pun intended volume 2 book for the first time, which is great. They get on the road and Joel is kind of explaining, yeah, the reason we can just freely go on the overpass and highways and stuff is because early on they kind of cleared it all so the tanks could get to and from major cities, I suppose. She finds the porno magazine in the back of Bill's car. It's like a men's nudie mag. And then, yeah, we just get some of these great shots of them like passing a FedEx parking lot, like a roller coaster. Just again, these awesome shots of nature reclaiming the world, which HBO is just knocking out of the park, by the way. As they do, it just feels like you really are in the world. But then they pull over.
Couple Easter eggs here.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Brian.
take it from me.
The first two, we have the no pun intended. That book is a collectible in the first game, and she has like a line, and she pretty much says one of the exact puns. And then the nudie mag, that's in the game as well. When in a cutscene, it's literally right from the game. It's hilarious in both.
Ellie's just been crushing it, man. I think she was so funny, especially with the no pun intended book. I absolutely loved her this episode, and her stock is just shooting through the roof right now for me.
Joel, that was the first time I've ever seen someone use like two things to siphon something. I feel like I've always seen in movies and
right,
heard,
you just do the one.
Not that I've ever done it myself, but yeah, you run the risk of actually like drinking a little bit of gas yourself. Yep. So I like that the way he did that, and I guess his explanation of it was interesting too. Again, like we've talked about in the first episode, when I guess they're stopping frequently because he's like, all this gas is old as hell, and it basically just turns to water. So like we need to keep constantly refueling and refueling and refueling. So like B-Tom said, it just a lot of good world building in this. And I mean, Ellie and Joel's conversation is much better in this episode, obviously, than it has been previously. So it's just fun to watch the two of them.
Yeah, at the beginning of this episode too, like you really, when she's cracking out all these puns, like he literally tells her to go wait in the car because he doesn't want to run the risk of, laughing at the joke and then maybe them sharing a moment. And so he's like, all right, how about you just go wait in the car? I don't want to have a moment at all with you. And that just changes so quickly over the course of this episode because of the events that they go through and because that, they have so much time together that there is going to be that moment where Ellie just cracks him, and we'll get there when we get there. But it was definitely funny seeing him still at the beginning of the episode, just kind of rejecting her.
I do like how they always not connect over music, but Ellie finding some old tape somewhere and talking about music is usually what gets Joel to have his first smile of any episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that goes back to the games. They haven't really gotten into it too much. I brought up the Easter egg in episode 1 with the guitar in his house, how it was exactly from the game. He's big on the guitar and music in the games, and Ellie becomes that too because of him. I like that they're using the music so far. I don't know if they're going to push it like they do in the game, but at least so far we are getting the connection from the music, like you say, Kyle.
So continuing on, they kind of go off of the highway and set up camp, which is kind of cool to think about. They just kind of pull over and pick a place and set up. But yeah, they eat some 20-year-old Chef Boyardee. Ellie's like, that guy knew how to do it. He's
That
like,
guy
hey, I
slaps.
agree. Even
Yeah.
Joel has to admit. But this kind of alludes to the threat we're going to be facing for the first time in this episode, when they present the idea of, can I start a fire? And he's like, you know what I'm going to tell you, it's not the infected that we would need to worry about. It's people, you know, they could see the smoke. And for the first time, you know, Ellie's a tough kid. You can even see she's a little frazzled. Like, you don't actually think someone's going to find us out here, because, you know, she's pretty afraid of the people.
Joel's
Um,
terrible fatherly instincts kicking in here, just feeding into that fear and not just being like, okay, look, nothing bad is going to happen. I mean, he does say that, but he doesn't deliver it in a comforting way, and you can really just see that he's really sucking at doing his job here in terms of comforting her. But he does do the good deed and stay up all night, which I thought was
And
a
that was-
ballsy mood, especially since
Yeah.
he was going to drive another 12 plus hours the
Yeah.
next day. It was a risky move. I really thought that was going to be turn into an issue for him.
Just
Well, and
built
that's-
different,
He got
dude.
that coffee, man.
Yeah, the
Coffee
coffee.
saved his ass. But yeah, I mean, it really was one of those things where he needed the sleep, and they purposely said, we are stopping so Joel can sleep, because Joel's going to be driving 12 to 24 hours or whatever it is, day and night. And it turns into he's being the daddy. He's being the
Yeah.
man.
I loved it.
He's
I
sitting
was
there with his gun, and it's Bill's gun, which I'm sure you guys talked about when he left with it. But he's got the rifle, and he's staying up all night protecting his quote unquote daughter, that for now they're talking about how she's not family, but a little foreshadowing,
yeah.
And something I did see that we didn't catch or talk about was that he as in, I almost said Pedro, but he as in Joel is wearing Frank's flannel from the scene where Frank and Bill get in that argument over Frank like doing some remodeling work
nice.
around
Ooh,
like
there you
the
go.
town.
That's
I saw
cool.
that on the internet, not me, but just like they obviously
take credit,
It's
Dave.
fun when like they're nailing all of the big things and the little things, because when they're
Mhm.
nailing all the big things, it lets you as a fan kind of get hype about the little things. But like when they're just only nailing kind of like little things for like established IP like this, but like the overall plot isn't hitting for you, then it like doesn't hit as hard. So it's fun to
Right.
like not even have to worry about the plot line, and then we can just have fun with all the small details.
Agreed. Even we've talked about it, I think, but even when Ellie puts the light on her lapel,
Yeah.
on her backpack, does it for
Mhm.
me right from the video game. It's exactly how it was. Does it for me.
So we were talking about the coffee. They get the coffee brewing, and then they're back on the road. And this is kind of where we get the info dump, where Ellie finally coaxes the backstory of Joel and Tommy and kind of how they found themselves in Boston. Also, she's like, were they selling that stuff in the Starbucks is in the QZ? So Starbucks is still operational even after the zombie apocalypse. Also, she takes an interest in kind of navigating the map. She's like, hey, where are we going, honestly? To a place called Cody in Wyoming. And if they can't find Tommy there, then odds are he didn't go far, probably just another established settlement out there. And yeah, that will bring us to the backstory. And essentially Joel just breaks it down as Tommy's always been a dude chasing a fight. Like, he's a
Heroics.
joiner. He wants something to get behind. So he enlisted right out of high school, fought in Desert Storm. He's like, he didn't come back feeling like much of a hero. Fast forward 12 years and the outbreak happened. And then he and Tommy kind of got in with more Tommy than Joel got in with a rough crowd, and Joel just kind of had his back and followed him just to make sure that he stayed safe. That's where they met up with Tess. And it's alluded to that they just kind of did whatever they had to do to survive until, fast forward however many years in Boston, and Tommy met Merlene, who convinced him to become a Firefly. So that kind of just is the broad strokes of how Joel ended up in the situation that the series starts at. So what are kind of your guys' takes of just that info dump? Because that's probably the most important stuff they give us this episode.
I didn't realize that Tommy was the one who was the Desert Storm vet. I thought that Joel was, but thinking now about episode 1, they are in Tommy's truck. I don't know why I thought it was Joel's truck, but I think that Tommy's actor did a really good job in episode 1 of portraying the type of person that Joel is now describing in the truck of like, and I don't remember the term that we used. And I might have said like useful idiot isn't actually what I'm looking for, but kind of just like an affable guy who like not necessarily goes along with things, but he just like seems like a good dude. And in the short, scene and a half, when it's like before things go to shit, you kind of get that vibe from him. But then you get the other part of his duality a little bit when Joel talks about how like Joel tries to set him straight when they're actually on the run, running away, and he's kind of looking to Joel for direction.
Mhm.
So they just did, I think, a really good job of characterizing Tommy in that little bit of episode 1. And I'm really excited, hopefully, to see him again. I'm really excited to see how he's changed. Hopefully not much because I liked him a lot, but we'll see.
Do we think we'll see him, Dave and Kyle?
I mean, we better.
Based on
Yeah.
the like this next episode you're asking?
In general, like he could be dead. Like
Yeah.
you have no idea what happens. I mean, there's plenty of stories where you're on a journey to look for something and the person you're looking for ended up not making it. So do you think
I think his return, if it does come, would be later, just because I see thinking of the episode 5 preview that I watched at the end of this one, there were no signs that showed that Joel was going to be any role in that episode. It's probably still going to be mostly related to Melanie Linsky's character. What's her name again? Kathleen. So I think
forget that one.
Yeah, hard to forget.
Yeah,
that one.
right.
Yeah, I think Tommy will probably, if anything, would be a later season
right?
debacle, possibly.
Ooh,
Yeah, I know
debacle.
a debacle. Oh, yeah, Kyle, I know you said that, Tommy's end game for season 1, you thought, right? Like you do your missions, your little side missions, and the end game is to get to Tommy.
Yeah, we're kind of just doing side quests on the way to Tommy.
Right,
I,
right.
I guess I would be disappointed if Tommy was dead, but I could see how that would be like a useful narrative device for Joel. Although, I mean, he's pretty off the deep end already, so
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it maybe would force Joel and Ellie to be even closer because
You
that
say
would
Nelly?
truly. Unless it sounded like it. Sorry, but I guess it would force the
Dude,
two of them closer.
I like it.
Because Joel says here we're talking about family, and he's like, Tess was kind of like family, but Tommy is family, and that's the reason why he
Right.
keeps going. So if he loses Tommy, then he has literally no family, and Ellie's kind of just standing there, like waving from next to him, like, "Hey, bud."
She's just cargo. That's all she is. She's not
I would have
family.
bet a lot of money that her line was going to be, "I don't have family, so what do I have to live for?" Because she doesn't. That's the whole point of what she's saying with Marlene is, I don't know who my parents are, and obviously we know where we assume that Riley is past tense, so there's no Riley, and now she has Joel, but she's being called cargo, but she, like you said, Kyle, she's kind of fishing, but at the same time, I swore her response is going to be like, "I don't have family," and he was going to have like a moment with her and be like, "All right, we'll figure out a way to live our lives and have a purpose here." But I
don't think
guess
Joel's built for that convo at that.
yeah,
minute
Bill.
with her.
I was gonna say we find out that he's not built for that convo, at least not yet. He does his best as the episode goes on, but that was definitely too early for anything to come out of Joel's mouth in that way.
And to kind of wrap up Joel's monologue here, he calls the Fireflies and generally chasing a cure or chasing any hope of restoring normalcy to the world. He calls these people delusional and calls his brother delusional for chasing this dream, to which Ellie is like, well, hold on, brother. It's not all hopeless. Don't we have like an obligation to try and seek this cure if we can? And he's like, no, at this point, all we have to move forward with is family. That's what should be driving you. And that takes us kind of full circle to what we were just talking about.
That's actually interesting too. I didn't think of this with last episode because I mean that's literally what Bill and Frank kind of did. They were like, I mean, they're not pushing for anything larger than just the two of them kind of having a nice life. So it kind of worked out.
Well,
for them
Frank was pushing to meet some more people, but Bill, 100%. Like that's why the letter was so devastating because he just straight up said, "Frank was my purpose," and then the whole thing with like protect Tess, and then
Yeah.
freaking cutting onions, man. Brian, you're muted.
There you go.
Yeah, I can hear you again now. I just
Hello?
heard you plug
Good?
it in.
Yep.
Yeah, you're back.
Good?
You're back.
Good?
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
I didn't have too much to say, so I was just kind of gonna roll us back.
Hit it.
All right. All right. Son of a bitch. All right. So that actually kind of in my notes, that clearly defined, like, I feel like that whole beginning part was just very casual dialogue. And then once we hit the blockade at Kansas City, kind of shifts gears for the episode for me. So what are you guys thinking when we hit this blockade and Joel investigates and he looks through and it's like, okay, these are like pretty purposefully stacked
Yeah.
and the tunnel behind it's pretty clear. What are you guys thinking?
It's just very easy to set traps that way.
I think it's a
Yep.
big old L for our boy Joel, man. How does he
Yeah.
not realize that's a trap?
I was thinking it was like the video game logic and physics that we've been talking about. Like he could have just kind of went off a little bit to the side and maybe just done the dirt road and just kept going straight around it rather than kind of taking some back roads. But I guess because there were so many cars lined up on the road, he didn't really have a way to get off road. So he had to take the long way or the other shortcut.
So the thing was, it seemed as though the decision would have been go way back, backtracking what you've already done on the highway, take a completely different exit to bypass the city of Kansas City as a whole. Whereas he opted to go to the last exit to enter the city of Kansas City.
Right.
With the intention of taking the earliest exit to get back on the highway, thus bypassing the blockade. However, obviously, that's what the trap was intended to make people do, as opposed to wasting the time and the resources of backtracking all the way around Kansas City.
Should have just
Yes, he should have been smart enough to backtrack the whole way, which is almost a lapse in the consistency of Joel as a character. He seems to always take the safe route.
I mean,
That's
he was
why I
trying to
said it
get
was
to
an alley.
Tommy.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it's very similar to the situation with Tess, where it was take the long way, the short way, and the short way is the way we die. The long
Yep.
way is screwed, so they're like, all right, let's just screw it, let's do it. It's almost the same exact scenario. Clickers were bad, obviously, but they got lucky that all of the fungus was dried up, and the real reason they thought they'd be dead was fixed and not a big deal. It seemed like not Tommy, Joel was doing a screw it, let's just go kind of thing. And like you said, Kyle, he's got to get to Tommy. So I don't know. I definitely think it was an L for Joel, but
should have went
for
through
sure.
Des Moines. Should have went through Des Moines.
instead he's going through Kansas shitty, man.
Yeah, I
Feeling some
love
shit.
I love him
fuck
yelling at
Kansas
Ellie.
City. Let's go Birds, baby.
Very topical this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
True, very
coincidentally,
true.
this
What a
city,
shithole.
the events of this city were kind of in the game, but it took place in Pittsburgh, actually. So they just
Another
kind of
shithole.
No, let's
Well.
go.
That's-
The duality
Just
of my
kidding.
two teams showing out here.
Just kidding with that. That's good. I love him yelling at Ellie about like the map, and she's like, "Dude, I just learned what a car was." Like, I
That
don't
was
know how to
awesome.
read a
Yeah.
map.
It's true. It's true. She doesn't know what she's fucking doing.
they really ramp up the anxiety in like a minute and a half because they make Joel get unnecessarily like scolding her about the map, but that's because Joel's like, we can't be in this city longer than
Yeah.
we need to be. The wheels are already turning. They pass the QZ, which we understand QZs to be the safe areas in this world, quote unquote safe. And Fedra's nowhere to be seen, and this dude just starts limping out the side of the road, and things start to happen.
This is
Things
not
really
an L
start
for
to
Joel.
happen. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
a big
things
fat
start to get
dub from
shitty.
Joel. And
Yeah.
actually, this is one of the criticisms from video game players is Ellie asks, aren't we going to help the guy? And Joel kind of says no. That got some shtick from video game players because in the video games, he says something to the effect of, he ain't even hurt. But he says it
Yeah,
almost
and-
like comically and self-assured.
And wait, and I swear that was in the trailer. Am I stupid or like I swear I watched something with the trailer
I don't watch trailers.
where he says he ain't even hurt and then he runs him over and I'm like they can't be
Can't help
doing
you
this
there.
twice.
Mm.
So I don't know if it was changed or what, but I know you're not the trailer guy, so
Yeah, can't help you there.
Well, the community was like kind of comically, but also not comically because it changes the character of Joel. They're kind of saying that in the video games, Joel is much more confident in his abilities I guess. And like he would just casually, when confronted with this situation, calmly say he ain't even hurt and drive through. But in this one, he was kind of flustered, like, no, and it got serious, which I think is probably just for the TV show to raise the stakes a little bit more. But it is a genuine criticism from the community, it seems.
I mean, it reminded me of the part in episode 1 when things first start to go to shit with Tommy and Joel in the front seat of the car, because who is it in that scene that says, are we going to help him? And who says no? Is it Tommy that says no there?
Tommy
Joel
wants
is
to help.
like, no, hell no.
Okay, so it's still
and
kind
that's
but it still is showing that Joel has always been this hard, and like he recognized the situation. He knew it was a trap. Even back then, he wasn't taking any chances on people, getting hurt and helping them out. So I think to me, this is consistency in his character.
Yeah. And again, it's consistency with what you said, Kyle. In however many minutes of an episode that we get Tommy, that's another thing where he wanted to stop and he wanted to be the hero.
Oh, yeah. True.
Yeah. And I think they kind of get it later on where Joel's like, he explains to Ellie that he used to be these people basically with Tess and them. I feel like that was enough for me. Like, I didn't think anything of it when he just said no. As a non-video game player, that seems a little bit unnecessarily harsh.
Yeah, especially if
like a criticism on the scene itself.
Especially if in episode 1 he's already saying no to people to help him out,
The fact that he says the line shows in video game and TV that he's smart enough to know that it's a trap because of his past, that he was part of it. One gives you one thing of that, maybe arrogance, confidence, whatever. The other one gives us some anxiety. Which one do you choose for a TV show? You choose the second one. So I agree with you, Kyle. I don't think it's I'm not going to say not a valid criticism, but I don't think it's a huge deal.
Yeah. Well, they're about to find out that he ain't the one to try.
Yeah, right.
Well, aside from that line, Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was one of those scenes that like teleported me back into the game when they crash through the storefront and are kind of like hunkered down, taking shots. And even the way like the foot soldiers kind of advance on you once you retreat back into a room was very video game-esque. They're doing the little things right. And then, well, I'll get to something else that I wanted to talk about later.
I think I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, you definitely do. But they're hiding behind this truck, and I think this was one of the most kind of impactful scenes to me is when the flip switches in both of their brains, and you can tell this rebellious Ellie is locked in and is listening to everything that Joel says and is really just putting her life in his hands and feels confident in him. And to his point, where he struggles dig deep in the emotional well, he is able to kind of bring out this confidence in himself, just be like, stay low, you're going to be safe, I'm not going to let them shoot you, you're going to be fine, you got this. And it all just happens very quickly. Flip the switch, she's off through the hole in the wall, and kind of this scene progresses as it progresses. But yeah, David and Kyle, what are you guys thinking about that kind of interaction between the two, and then how this scene progresses?
I like that she's listening to the rules. We set up the rules at the end of last episode. It's nice not to have any kind of like cheeky bullshit from her when like the first time it actually becomes something, because I can see it like when it's like at the gas station when he's like getting the car and like technically he said like, you do what I say, you don't ask questions. She's like, whatever, giving him shit for it, whatever. But obviously in this situation, she knows that Joel knows best. And it's what I wrote down essentially. It's just, Joel's just racking up the kills. It's honestly nice to see. I mean, obviously, you don't love seeing people kill people because at this level they're just humans. But I mean, he's a killer, baby. He's a sharpshooter.
I really like how Joel emphasized the fact that they weren't going to hit her, and she wasn't going to get shot, because you could see in the moment she was really panicking. Her face was definitely full of fear. She didn't, and we even see later on that she was thinking about Joel, beating the shit out of the cop too. So there's a lot of emotions going on in Ellie. And even at the end of the day, Joel, with all this fire, like him taking all this fire, he still looks at her and is like, hey, I'm going to protect you. They're not going to shoot you. I'll handle it. And she does what she said, she does what he says. And it's just a really nice moment. And it's just such a small line, but it just really helps Ellie progress and become a little bit more strong in the sense that, mentally and in their trust. So it was just a really good moment.
Yeah, to both of your points, it wouldn't have been believable at all for a 14-year-old to be under fire and cracking jokes and not listening to Joel. So the fact that, you know, it was believable, it was realistic. She can crack jokes, like you said, Kyle, at the gas station when they're not actually under any fire. But you can see when shit starts in the fan, she's a 14-year-old. She's a badass 14-year-old, but she's still going to listen to Joel and she's still seeing him as the protector.
So continuing on with this scene, I think there are 2 foot soldiers. Joel takes care of the first one. The second one sneaks up behind him, catches him off guard, pins him to the ground, and is like yelling loud enough that Ellie can tell Joel's in trouble. She walks in and gives him a Bonnie shot to Joe. Like,
Yeah.
just doesn't kill him, but paralyzes him. Of course, this guy's name is Brian, but Brian with a Y.
Yeah, the
Put on your
inferior
sub. Yeah, put on the subtitles. Brian with a Y, bad like Brian. And boy, this is like, we find out it wasn't her first kill, but definitely a newbie to killing people.
It
And
was affecting her.
This is a tough one because
I would say this scene, in the sense of her actually doing the physical shooting, I feel like shows her relative inexperience, because she's kind of just like points the gun at him and shoots, versus like, I mean, if you really wanted to get down to it, like you were behind him, you could have just pretty much executed him. So she just kind of pops a shot off and it just happens to paralyze him. And it's like, okay, well, now we have to clean up the mess of him whimpering and crying for his mom on the ground.
Ugh. Yeah.
And that's the worst part of it, especially for her. Joel can deal with that. He's dealt with it a lot, obviously. But for Ellie, you know, if she killed a real person and it's not the infected that we're talking about, even if it's the Riley situation, we're going to assume that it was probably like, you shot them and they're dead. And wow, this is crazy. This sucks.
Yeah.
But to have someone get shot, be whimpering, pleading to a 14-year-old, like, we can be friends, please don't kill me, please. And then Joel being like, go in the other room.
Yeah.
And then
also,
him.
he's a wild motherfucker. And I just realized, because we've had the resource talk before, that maybe it's a waste of a bullet to shoot a paralyzed guy, but he just fucking kills him with a knife. And I was like, okay. Yeah, Joel's
probably the knife that he was given by B. Rye.
B. Rye.
It's a good point,
dog.
because I was thinking the same thing, Kyle. I was like, I was expecting to hear the gunshot, but then it just says like slice or something like that. And it's way more brutal death. But Ellie, it's hard to say how her first kill or violent act happened, just because based off this reaction that she had, it seemed like to me, like, obviously this was her first time going through something like that. And me watching it for my first time, I'm seeing this as her first time hurting someone. And it really, really did affect her. And I love that Joel is still willing to put the guy out of his misery. I think it would have been in my head, I was even thinking, like, you better not let this guy fucking live. Like, he just tried to kill you.
You can't have him fucking, you can't have him whining and crying,
yelling,
and people are looking for you.
Yeah. Exactly, especially with what they had seen earlier with like all those, what are we going to call, does this squad have a name?
We're going to call them
militia.
We're going to call them they do have a name. We're going to call them
jackets.
We're going to call them hunters.
Yeah, we'll call them hunters.
Yeah,
because that's their name. Because that's
their name. Yeah.
So, anything else in this scene? Big scene for Ellie. I think lots of character development.
The only thing is, in the after show thing, I think Craig, because we're on a first name basis now with him, said that it was like an important scene of showing like Ellie kind of like bouncing back very quickly. She kind of takes the emotional beat and then is not really changed visibly, outwardly rather, to Joel about it, when I guess, you know, internally I'm sure it's still beating her up. So he compares her to Joel in that way. I don't think we know Ellie well enough, but I guess if if Joel's gonna take on that father figure role, she's fairly impressionable, I would say. So if she learns to deal with things emotionally like he does, and he obviously
she's gonna be holding that stuff in
emotionally, then
he's gonna need a therapist, man.
Yeah, it's probably not.
But yeah, going to the next part, Brian, where so we get to the part where obviously she shoots him, and then, you know, we already talked about the execution and stuff. I thought he was gonna freak out way more that she actually had a gun in the first place. He kind of just says like, "Give me the gun," and that's it. But this isn't the part that I think you're talking about, but I still got a little nostalgia because even with him being, yeah, he's like aggravated, but he's also like devastated that she had to do that and she saved him because it really looks like he was down for the count. Now, our boy Joel, hey, we've seen it before. You're getting choked out, you nicely placed knee, flip the guy over, whatever, right before you're about to die. But he needed Ellie, so Ellie saved him. But he what he says to her through the wall, like, I can't get through the hole, you got to let me in. And it's just like in the video game where you have to clear the way for Joel, but even having him talk through the wall is very often in the game. It happens a
Yep.
lot, and you just see the subtitles and you can hear it in your headphones if you're playing. It's like muffled, but you got to let me in, Ellie, like let me move something there. Yeah, it's awesome.
A lot of the gameplay is navigating and traversing through like locked doors that are just a desk pushed up against the other side of the door. And the mechanic of the game is Ellie can fit through stuff to get to the other side and just let you in.
Yep.
And like her pulling the desk, Joel leaning on the door, and like
pushing
Jimmy said,
that
just
circle button.
the audible of like him talking through the door, like it was copy and pasted from the game, and just definitely one of those moments that teleports you back. But something so stupid as moving a desk and pushing a door.
Yep, exactly.
Well done.
Clap, clap.
So yeah, that kind of brings us to our introduction to Melanie Linsky / Shauna / her actual name in this series, Kathleen, and she is interrogating this old doctor guy. And it's kind of like you're supposed to read between the lines that this doctor was probably one of the wealthier elites that was kind of taking advantage of the less fortunate. She's like, this is one of those cells where you beat my brother to death. And we're kind of getting a lot of partial information about this Kathleen character, but she's interrogating him about the whereabouts of a list of names, but she's really focusing on this one guy named Henry. And she's like, come on, we know he's still in the city, and you know where he is. We know he's close, yada, yada, yada. So yeah,
they had a past. He literally says to her, I delivered you. Like that was her like family doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously that just plays into her executing him, whatever it ends up being, 5 to 6 minutes later when she really doesn't think twice about it. I mean, that tells you a lot about her in that one scene. So I guess I don't know if I took it so much that he was like some like sheltered elite. It just seemed like Fedra essentially threatened him and he became an informant. And obviously these are people that overthrew Fedra within the QZ and got out of it, so they don't look kindly against people that kind of supported the regime.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Good.
I don't think Kathleen has much. Our Kathleen and this Kathleen have much experience in, zombie apocalypse, because you really want to execute your freaking doctor that easily. I mean, come on. I mean, first of all, I mean, we don't really have the backstory yet, what the deal is with her and Henry. I'm assuming he wronged her in some way, whether she's the good guy, good girl, whatever, the protagonist in this story for herself or not. So, she really wants Henry dead, but still, like, if you gotta shoot the doctor in the foot to get some answers, but to kill the doctor that easily, and I am surprised that the town or the other hunters are all down with that.
So, it seemed very short-sighted because they literally have one of the guys that Joel shot. And then she's like, can he be saved with a doctor? And one guy's like, nah, like it's too late. And then she just goes and kills the doctor. And it's like, well, there might be other people.
I thought that was,
I
thought that was so ice cold. I thought that was a great introduction to her character, because in that scene where she is interrogating the doctor, I'm trying to make up, my mind on whether like what this character is going to be like, because she did see like she had some humility in the sense that, she was going to cry when the doctor said, I delivered you, and you could see that did hit her. So I'm trying to make these assumptions and see what kind of character she is. And I think because you can see that she is trying to fight for something that she believes is right, but at the same time, it's clearly corrupt in itself. But the moment that she pulls the trigger on the doctor, for me, just proves, okay, this is a villain. And I think that's going to be her role in at least the next episode, maybe 2, if she makes it that long. But I thought it was really well done to just just execute the doctor. And plus, if there's anything like we've seen in history is, when regimes get overthrown by whatever militia or what would you call them?
Revolutionaries.
Like revolutionaries. Yes. Sorry.
Hunters.
Usually the new regime is not much better, and if not, it's worse. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is here. Like, this regime is clearly much worse than what they were probably having done to them in the QZ. Maybe. Who knows?
That is a stretch.
Dave?
It's a stretch.
Dave, you can back off for a second, Dave, because I just want to bring up something that I don't think you know much about. But what about Pike's revolution in the 100? That wasn't too great, huh? We covered the 100, Dave, and I know you didn't. We covered the pilot of the 100, and you gave us some shit. So I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I think that's like season 3-ish, right?
Yeah, beyond my territory. I only know episode 1 and season 7 or whatever the last season was. That's
yeah,
all
Dave
I know.
knows season, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't think she seems like she doesn't seem very evil. Like as we go later on, and then we kind of progress just on her storyline individually, kind of they're trying to find Joel and Ellie because they think that they're like mercenaries fighting with this,
Henry,
this
yeah.
mysterious Henry man that she's trying to find. And I think she comes off more as someone who's kind of out of her depth a little bit.
Yeah.
Like she tells them to search like everything everywhere, and that seems like a little bit of like an overcast of your resources. And I don't think she's just kind of making decisions, it seems like. I don't know.
So this is kind of bringing us, I want to bring up the criticisms from the community of this character. Number one is, Kyle, like you said, people are like, it's unrealistic that someone would commit that many resources to kind of a spiteful revenge plot. She's clearly going after this guy, Henry. The motivation is that this Henry guy is in charge of the people that brutally tortured and murdered her brother, and now she just finds herself as the leader and is unleashing the dogs, going door to door. Like, that's not something someone would do. Again, they fabricated this character for the show, so it seems like kind of a quote-unquote filler arc. Also, it is a revenge plot, which we will kind of see as a recurring theme in this story. So people are like, if you were going to manufacture a villain for this show, why would you go with the revenge plot, which we're kind of saturated with in the Last of Us story, as we will kind of get to over the next season plus. So definitely some criticisms about this Kathleen character. Aside from that, though, I think the character itself is interesting. I don't know.
I guess the overcommitting of resources, I feel like it tells you something in that she's not like I said, I mean, she's out of her depth.
Not a seasoned vet.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a plot hole. It's on purpose to show you that she's not fit. I don't want to say completely incompetent, but like we get later on as we get the montages of them breaking down doors and all that stuff, and then we have her and Perry, the older gentleman, who has my absolute goal of an old guy look, because he looks fucking fantastic, and that is like the ultimate role model for me for what I want to look like when I'm older. As you can see, we're lacking a little bit in the facial hair department, but and then there's she makes some shaky decision that seems very emotional and kind of personally motivated, not thinking of it as she's a leader of a group. So I think the decisions tell a story about her. I don't know if they're necessarily maybe plot holes. It's just she just kind of maybe isn't the right person for the job.
One more thing I want to say, because I brought up the fandom's criticisms of this character, is there was an explanation offered by Craig, our boy. And he essentially said that the show had to fulfill a purpose that the game didn't, which is the game is just going to throw NPCs at you, which are humans that are innately going to shoot at you. And he's like, the show had to have a reason why these people will innately not like you and shoot on sight, and had to give these NPCs, quote unquote NPCs, foot soldiers in the show, a reason for firing at you. So there you go.
One thing I also took to, I don't know if this was ever confirmed in this episode or not, but was Brian Kathleen's son? Because he's
no.
So
I don't.
So the only
I
reason
feel like
I'm-
she would have freaked out
the
more.
only
but-
reason, yeah, I'm bringing that up is because maybe if it was her son, that would maybe explain the little bit of lack of awareness of things around her and why she's just willing to go
Hmm.
send out all these resources, these people.
That's
Because
fair.
he does say in his dying breath, he's like he's crying for his mom, obviously, but he does say like she can, she will offer you trades or something like that. I think.
Good.
It's
Yeah,
something
He says
he
like
said.
yeah.
she's nearby. and things
Yeah,
like
she's
that.
nearby. So if that's the case, I think that
That's
even
good.
provides a little bit of a better explanation on why she's so crazed on having Joel and Ellie found.
And also,
Yeah,
I mean,
I like that.
I could easily see that being a plot point in next episode when that comes to light. It comes to light that Joel actually isn't really maybe involved with Henry. I mean, we'll talk about that obviously at some level
Yeah.
too. But then it's kind of like you weren't really our enemy until we kind of almost pushed you to do something that then now makes us
Now you are.
makes you our
Mhm.
enemy. Yeah, I could see that being a thing.
And even if that is her kid, and I get the whole like she didn't have like that crazy of a reaction seeing his dead body, but at the same time they're in a post-apocalyptic world. You're probably assuming you're gonna die at some point. So maybe that was kind of, she did look really, she looked at the body, she really examined it, and then turned around pretty angry. So she wasn't, I think.
That wasn't Brian, the body that they brought. That was one of
That was the one that was
the first
alive
guy.
still.
That
Yeah,
the
there was
first
three
guy.
guys
okay.
actually.
Yeah.
There's two guys that got shot first, and then the guy snuck up. B. Rye
Yeah.
snuck up behind Joel. So yeah, the one guy, I think, what was it? The first guy that got
First
shot
guy gets
was
dropped
the
in
one
the street by the car.
Yeah,
Second guy gets
yeah.
dropped as Joel kind of baits him into the laundry.
but one of them didn't die.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
one of
the
the
guy in the
first two.
street.
One of the first two.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy in the
but
street
yeah.
let's
didn't
just-
die.
Let's just get this out of the way now, Kyle. Your older man crush, Jeffrey Pierce, the actor. He is the voice actor for Tommy from the Last of Us video game. So we have some more cameos.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah, yeah. So we
He
have some
looks
more
like a
cameos.
boss.
We have a few more coming in the season, but we haven't seen them yet. So
can-
yeah, he was cool, and we're still gonna get some more of them.
You can definitely tell Perry has a military background. Just the way he carries that AR, he's a professional. So I want to see him get into a good fight coming up soon, hopefully.
Yeah,
Not against our boy. Not against our boy.
like
Joel,
Him versus
though.
Joel, yeah.
Yeah,
not
like
against
the
Joel.
the old dad strength wisdom Joel versus
military
the trained
expert.
army guy. Yeah, the
Yeah, so-
concrete pourer.
So just to move us along, Shauna rallies the troop and says this won't stop until we stop him, referring to this guy Henry, find every collaborator and kill them all. So we see this montage of all of her people essentially scrambling the jets, going door to door with battering rams, just rounding up every remaining citizen in Kansas City and massacring them, I suppose. And as that's going on, we have Ellie and Joel taking shelter in one of the storefronts, just trying to avoid it. Their plan is to, I guess, get to the skyscrapers where they end up once they can't hear any trucks. But this gives them a nice opportunity to kind of just digest everything that just happened. First question Ellie has is, they're not Fedra, they're not Fireflies. Who the hell are these people? And Joel's like, I don't know. They're just people. And that's just hammering home the point that people are good and people are bad in this world. And there's a lot of bad people remaining in this world, probably most of the ones that we're going to see. But other than that, it's just Joel once again trying to dig deep into that emotional well and failing to be like, hey, I know you just killed your first person. I totally relate, dog.
Yeah,
And it's just
his
not
whole
landing.
thing is I mean, it's better to just not talk about it very much.
I mean, you can see in his face that he's pained, and he does say you're just a kid at your age. But yeah, I mean, she even says you suck at this, dude.
Yeah.
But I mean, to your point too, or I guess our boy Craig's point, she is crying. There's tears after she shoots the guy and she's hiding, or she's behind the wall. There's some tears when they're trying to have this conversation right here. But really, she's holding it in. She's being the one that's like, dude, you suck at this. I don't need to talk. It's fine. But this is also where we get the conversation where she says, I've done this before. It's not my first time. That's where it's going through my head. Is it the infected? Is it actual person? That's obviously the conversation that we had earlier in the episode. And then we have, him kind of, she loves this. She feels like she's being more accepted. He's like, let me see. put the gun in your hand. Let's take the bullets out. Let me see how you're holding it. He makes fun of her for the Fedra training, things like that. And she's smiling. She's freaking cheesing that she's getting some fatherly love from Joel. And the only way that he knows how to do it by teaching her how to be more of a badass, you know? So this is another cool moment. It says a lot about Joel that he can't speak to the one part of what happened and the part that actually takes emotion, but then he does show the fatherliness of him, you know, to take her and show her the gun and start and like that's another way of showing her some kind of compassion and love. She's loving it, she's cheesing, she's having a good old time because she feels like a badass now with her gun and she gets to keep it. So again, more character development. This is a major character development episode, and we get even more coming up towards the end.
So 2 more scenes here. Well, I guess at the end of this scene, they just open up and depart for the skyscraper. But we have another Kathleen scene here. Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna start that all over again, and we're gonna take it from the top. So we have 2 more scenes here to close out the episode. First one's going to be a Kathleen scene. We catch up with her men just going door to door, and it's our homie, Kyle's man crush, is like, okay, we did find something. Takes Kathleen up to this attic, and they're looking around. There's like a sleeping bag. There's some kids' drawings and like 10 empty things of soup and like canned goods or whatever. And he's like, okay. We also found something else, and takes her all the way to the basement where we see this giant like crater with a heartbeat. So
yeah, it's like undulating.
Yep. And for whatever reason, I guess Kathleen hasn't understood that the zombie apocalypse is kind of a big deal. She's like, okay, this isn't the priority right now. We're going to follow this revenge trail, and I'm sure everybody's going to be on the same page that we should just turn a blind eye to this freaking So that was pretty short-sighted. I was pretty ticked off at her, but what are you guys thinking?
So was Perry, man.
Yeah.
The man crush.
I mean, he seems like he's not. I mean, again, I'm quite biased, but he seems like he's not that bad of a guy. You know, he's just kind of
following orders.
Yeah, in a sense, and I'm very curious to see how their relationship is
I agree.
strained by this in the next episode, which seems like it's coming. I could see him not being a good guy, but I feel like his 2 options are going to be like realizing what the actual right thing to do is, or just kind of being the company man and going down with the ship. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be like. But this is like the ultimate kind of evidence that she's maybe a little bit out of her depth as a leader and maybe shouldn't be the person that's leading all of these people because she's making decisions like this.
I didn't know what to think of that crater, because it was just that, a crater. It seemed like something should have been in the middle of that crater and kind of shown us what was going on. But the heartbeat or the beating of that crater was just so mind blowing to me. I guess I took it as like, I think it's the fungus just trying to make its way through the ground into this building at least, and that would create an opening for the clickers to come through and invade. But it could be something more. Maybe this is one of those big bosses that I was talking about in the first episode we were talking about, with maybe this is a clicker that's been around for a while. It's a little bit bigger and it's coming out of the fucking ground. So yeah, I didn't really know how to take that, but I completely agree with everything that you're saying, Kyle, that this clearly shows that Kathleen is just out of her league with at least leading this specific regime.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean, the same thing that I said about Perry kind of applies to her. I mean, does she ever get to a point where it's, the dust settles in front of her eyes, or she stops seeing the color red, whatever, idiom fucking you want to talk and say what it is, where she is like, okay, fuck, we got to actually do the right thing, not the thing that I want to do because of I was wronged. So I could see her going down with the ship, though.
Interested to hear your guys' thoughts on kind of the kid stuff in the attic that we saw. And when she went back downstairs, she does reference Henry and Sam saying, oh, they're running out of food. Henry won't let Sam starve.
I was just thinking of Anne Frank. These people are just living
Is
it.
not what I thought you were gonna say.
Living in the attic. You have to be dead
Damn.
silent so no one can see them at all. But I don't know.
Not thinking about Roger.
Nah.
Oh, Roger from American Dad.
Thought
Yeah.
that's where your head would
Yeah.
go.
I would say
No.
at the time you're not really thinking of. I was not really thinking of much, but obviously as we get to the last scene in the episode, it kind of clears all of that up.
Yeah, I guess with the last scene in my mind, it just reminds me of the little kid from Sandman, Netflix's Sandman, where I guess there's no point in going into it a little bit more, but he does remind me of the little boy from Sandman who thought himself as a superhero. He thought himself as the Sandman and wanted to go out and like be helpful and good to the world. And so I think even though these two are really very much wanted by Kathleen, I think this is going to be the side of good, I guess.
They're going to be the homies.
Yeah, I think they're going to
They're
be
gonna
the
be the
ones.
homes.
Yeah. And I honestly
Yeah,
didn't expect these two as characters. I had never, not even any of the previews. Like I knew Melanie Linsky was going to be cast in here, and so I knew she was going to be a character as well as Nick Offerman. So these two are completely like, I just did not expect these two characters to come into play at all. And so me personally, that intrigues me a little bit more, and I'm definitely interested to see how they impact Ellie and Joel's storyline, because maybe Joel will look at these two as kind of if you want to call it like inspiration for what a father-daughter relationship should look like, or father-son relationship should look like. So that's where my mind's at right now.
That would be interesting because we kind of got that in a different way with Bill. He kind of gets that. Joel kind of almost gets like romantic mentorship, not actually, but like by looking at how Bill grew with Frank and their relationship, and it's kind of juxtaposed with Joel and Tess in episode 3. So it would be interesting to now see it in like the familial like father-daughter, father-son bond, and how maybe what Joel can maybe learn from that would be interesting. Because I mean, obviously, like we've been saying, the man needs some help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He is in desperate need of some inspiration.
And we don't know much about Henry, but he seems like at the very least to be a decent dad.
Yeah, well, he's protecting his son, and when it comes to us talking about NPCs and Kathleen being like the NPC villain, to just giving them a quick reason to be shooting at you, I wasn't sure if this was going to be like a one episode villain, or if she was going to just be maybe not one episode, but one episode and maybe 10 or 20 minutes into the next episode. So I was actually wondering if they were going to find the two of them long dead, and like she would be caught, and everyone would be like, you're delusional. It wasn't actually Henry doing all this. It was just like coincidences or whatever. And she would kind of lose her leadership and cause some problems, allowing Joel and Ellie to get out of the town because, everything shit's hitting the fan in Kansas City. But didn't get that way. We'll see how it goes. And Brian, am I missing something? I know we can't give spoilers, but I don't know. Are we supposed to know the creator? I have a guess.
No, but
Okay.
I don't think so.
Which would be a spoiler, but yeah, I don't. Okay, I'm just making
Keep
sure.
it to yourself, then.
No, 100% keep it to myself. But what also makes it weird, because if we're joking that Kansas City is like NPC side quest, take care of it and get out,
Kansas
I'm wondering
City,
what
NPCs there.
I'm wondering what this crater means, unless it's just like showing them that it can exist in general and it could happen somewhere else, because it's not like, I don't assume that they're going to like take care of it for however many episodes before they move on. I mean, do you think that?
I don't think they would present it just to not cover it again. So I think we're going to see some
I'm
sort
saying
of progression
it'll come
with
up.
the crater.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying, I know it'll come up again, but I'm just saying not necessarily
not
like
Kansas City.
Yeah,
that's going to be your shit that hits the fan that then allows
right.
them the ability to escape, I would say.
And she made the wrong decision by not taking care of that first.
Yeah.
And it's gonna
it's pretty much presented as like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
So, and if we follow the pattern of an hour and 20 minutes next week, or this Friday, actually.
Yeah,
Friday, yes.
It is this Friday,
because of the big game. The big game.
Bigger than that.
For any
Yeah,
listeners
Kelsey.
wondering, watch party at Lambert for the episode if you want to swing through.
Hell
Just
yeah.
a little light doxing for yourself there.
Yeah, if you're in the Philly area, let us know. You can come watch with us.
Just give your freaking address.
Just keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah, keep it up, bro.
Yeah, if you want to
So-
give your social, Dave.
I was gonna
Always,
say before
always.
Dave gives his social security number out to the listenership, why don't we get this this last scene over with? Another one of those straight from the game. You go through the window and unlock the door for me as they enter this high rise. They look up, kind of a cool shot, looking up at the spiral staircase. They got to go up 45 flights, and just some great Joel and Ellie dialogue. Ellie brings up, "Hey, you kind of caught on real quick that was an ambush and not a guy in need of help earlier. What's that all about?" He's like, "No comment. I did some fucked up stuff. No
Yeah.
further questions." So yeah, Joel has a questionable past, but I think we already knew that, but pretty clearly defines that he has crossed the line of killing innocent people who weren't really asking for it. I think the purpose for the high rise was just to get up high with the assumption they wouldn't
And
check
city.
up that high.
Yeah,
And
because
so they
Get a
could
look.
see the city
Assassin's
over.
Creed. Yeah.
He says he wants to see where they can. Yeah, he wants to
Mhm.
see where they can exit and then jump into the haystack from the high rise,
Can you
and
imagine?
then run out.
Just hear the fucking the little circling bird. And
Yeah.
just- They're just airborne.
He's like, Ellie, come on.
I
It's
think
like,
most-
what was it? Game or no? Oh, yeah. I was gonna say it's like the Last Kingdom. We have our Last Kingdom homies here, right?
Yeah.
of course.
We,
We've all
Oh,
seen
yeah.
it.
No, I'm just saying
Minus
it's like
Luke,
when
yeah.
I don't want to say it, but it's like in the season 5 when one of our characters tells another character to jump and she'll be fine, and then she just freaking dies.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
We're like, whoa, did that just happen?
All you gotta say is destiny is all, man.
Destiny
What
is freaking all.
One of the
Oh.
biggest takeaways I took from this whole scene of we're going up the stairs and then we have them kind of hunkering down and Joel is always in this mode of protection and thinking about everything, even though he had that momentary lapse in judgment with the highway. So he scatters all the glass down. But I just couldn't stop thinking about the fact that he is 56 years old. And
Dude,
just,
I
like,
wasn't.
sleeping on couch cushions with like his jacket as a pillow. Like I'm sure that's not a random occurrence for him. I'm sure it's fairly common. Like he must wake up every day and it's just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I was
another
thinking-
fucking 18 hours in this hellhole.
I was thinking that was probably like the couch cushions are probably one of the nicer setups that you could
Yeah.
ask for.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, because if I did that now after like a night of
Yeah.
drinking, I'd wake up and I would feel that for a couple days. Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
just
No
reminds me of
sleep.
like high school, college. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I was actually surprised when he says 56 because again, I'm playing this video game. Maybe I'm not letting shit register. I don't know if he says it in the game or not, but I never took him as that old in the game. You know, I know that we have a 20-year skip and he has a daughter and everything, so I guess it does make sense he was in his 30s when everything shit hits the fan, but yeah, when he said 56, I was like, "Oh, damn, bro.
Yeah.
Good for you."
Let's just say I can't imagine Papa Talda doing any of this. Even in his new reformed shape, I can't see him doing any of that.
That's older than Pedro even is.
Yeah,
How
I
old
mean,
is
and that goes
Pedro?
back to
I'm looking at it right now. He's 47.
He's a
Yeah,
good looking
and that goes-
47.
that goes back to Bill and Frank, where it's like, I mean, they got old, they lived their life. It's like, how much longer do you actually think? I mean, all it takes at that moment is one more thing of raiders or hunters, and they're probably dead anyway.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a tough life to live,
And
obviously.
I'm sure life expectancy is dramatically shot down as well in these years too. So 56
Oh,
is
they're
definitely got to be
definitely-
on the older side.
Bill and
Like
Frank
56
were
is like an
definitely
old
outlier.
56.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a
Bill and
huge
Frank
dip
were
in World
definitely
War
outliers.
II, and this is like 18,000 World War IIs happening at one time.
Yeah.
The life expectancy is probably like 12 years old.
Dude,
this
it's
world?
like it's a
Yeah.
young man
Oh,
and
yeah.
woman's game.
Yeah. Yep.
So we also-
I was just gonna. Yeah, no, I mean, it was just a side. It was just a side comment, but I was gonna say you'd be lucky to even make it to 12 unless you're born in the QZ or something. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm.
you're born in the wilderness like The Walking Dead or something.
Yeah.
Phew.
We also find out here that Joel is kind of deaf in one ear. which is just
Yeah.
kind of interesting. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Did you get shot there?" No, it's probably because I've been shooting all my life.
It was good. I like that reference. It was a good reference for sure. It just makes sense that, especially after everything he's been through, that he would be deaf in one ear. And it's
then
even cooler that Ellie, whose awareness has already been proven to be like very keen for her age, for her to notice that as well.
And then, Dave, I wanted your takes on this. When Ellie says, "Did you know diarrhea was hereditary?" Were you expecting her to say it runs in your genes?
No, I was not. I literally was. I was cracking up. This is my kind of comedy, just the plain poop comedy. Just give it to me all up front. I love it. It was a great.
Apparently it's Joel's too.
Because she said that, and I was like, "There's no fucking way it is." And then she hits him with the actual pun. I'm like, she got me, and that was a good one. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
So yes, that does crack the humor armor of Joel, and finally gets a chuckle out of him. They fall asleep, and this is the night that Joel should have been staying up keeping watch, because this is indeed the night that they got snuck up on from. Now, 2 people were there, yes?
Yes. It was.
So yes, we did have the older guy and the younger kid with face paint. It seems like Kyle and Dave have already connected some dots, but what are our theories here?
I mean, this is obviously Henry and Sam.
It's so obvious.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's Henry and Sam.
I'm anticipating Henry being like an intelligent, kind of resourceful guy. I don't picture him as being like irrational, like Kathleen has they've shown us Kathleen to be a little bit. They've obviously kind of put them on opposite sides in our brains already. And I have this negative perception of Kathleen, like I'm sure everyone does. So I have high expectations, I guess is a better way to say it, for Henry. Sam, we'll see what happens. He seems younger than Ellie, but I'm willing to say he's probably more like serious and like intense than Ellie, because it seems like he's lived through the QZ falling. He's probably had to do maybe more things even than Ellie. He's probably seen more things than Ellie. So I think it'd be interesting if he's like a kind of like a solemn, reserved young boy.
Was he holding a gun?
He was. Yeah.
Okay,
he knew how to use it. Unless it could be interesting if that's just like complete bluff, where it's he looked like he knew how to use the thing.
I like that you brought up that he was younger than Ellie, because I was definitely going to make that reference too. I think Sam's going to be a really interesting character. I can definitely see already that him and Ellie, if they do, choose to do some kind of team up, him and Ellie getting along potentially just really well, just in the sense that, they're both very young. They both seem to be, I'm guessing Sam would have to be very mature for his age, especially if he was, as young as he is, being forced to stay quiet in this attic this whole time, where he's just only allowed to really draw, and just eating like limited amounts of food. So I just imagine him being another resourceful, overly mature for his age kind of person, and especially with the whole superhero mindset that he has as well. I definitely have high expectations for Sam as a character, even him being so young.
I'm thinking about it. It would be interesting if like Sam was very like Joel-like, in that he's reserved, doesn't really show a lot of outward emotion, and then his dad was like Ellie, like kind of like a goofy guy.
Is it confirmed that they are
kind of funny?
Is it confirmed that they are father son? I was just saying that earlier.
I guess I'm just assuming.
I was saying it earlier as a reference, just to say like, okay, Joel would have someone who is like a father to another person. So I wasn't sure if they actually are, but I'm
totally making an assumption because they both seem to be African American.
Yeah,
seems logical.
Well, there you go. That is kind of the conclusion of the events of the episode. Any lasting words on kind of the episode as a whole? Personally, this might be at the bottom of my episode ranking from what we've seen so far. I think 1 and 2 were kind of stronger from an action standpoint for me, maybe. And episode 3 just really landed for me emotionally, I think. So I think this is probably bottom of the 4, but again, this is one of those shows where the baseline's high enough that it was a solid episode of television, where at like I would be utterly gutted if it was less than like an 8 out of 10, and this was definitely a minimum 8 out of 10.
We were saying this, we said the same things after the episode, B-Toms. We were like, still at the end of the day, very solid television episode. Just, I personally probably would have had one, like episode 2 at number 1 still, maybe number 1 right behind it, but every episode has still at least been a 7, which is, a very solid episode. I think, again, just to reiterate what I was saying at the beginning, like the character development we're seeing between Joel and Ellie, I love that we're finally kind of breaking through there, and it makes me feel good just watching it. I get like very happy just seeing Joel, especially at the end, him laughing for once. Like that was the first time we had seen him laugh since maybe episode 1, like 20 minutes in. But again, just a phenomenal performance from Bella Ramsey. It's just, she's really making Ellie seem like this multi-layered character. She doesn't really live in fear. She has a lot to learn, obviously, but she's very good at embracing whatever world that she does choose to live in. And I feel like we're going to get that same kind of thing from Sam. I guess that's just how kids in this kind of world has to be. So phenomenal performances all around. Definitely excited to see where Melanie Linsky's character goes, Kathleen. If she does, I don't think she'll. If I had to guess, I don't think she would make it out of next episode. So that's going to be my prediction for the next one.
Yeah, I'm curious. I just was a little greedy and looked up the runtime for next episode. It says 50 minutes. I have no idea if IMDb is actually on that. Just because, like we've said, with the pattern of how the episodes have gone, I'm kind of would be interesting. I think if we get like the odd episodes are all like kind of fat boys that are just like pumped full of stuff that like are like they bring a lot of the things that happened in the even episodes to conclusions, especially because there's 9 episodes, so that's an odd amount of episodes. We give our finale to be some kind of explosive finale. But yeah, I don't know.
I think because you told me, I feel like knowing that next episode is 50 minutes, I feel like that definitely for me, for some reason, just screams to me that whatever this, little arc is, I feel like it's just definitely going to end within that 50 minutes to me. Like, I feel like if it was an hour 20, I feel like that would be building a lot more substance for this arc. So I think to me, that's a good sign. This will probably be moving on to a different place.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, it's probably encouraging that it's like shit's gonna hit the fan early, probably, and then we're just gonna get after it, probably the whole episode. I would say lasting thoughts is that I hope my boy Perry makes it out alive.
I will say too.
Crush. Yeah, I need to print out a picture of him and just bring it to like next time I get my hair cut. Like, what do you think?
Can you take care of this for me?
Yeah, I might get a wig and shit.
I will say though, after seeing
Say no more,
the episode 5 preview did look like a banger of an episode. I will say there were a lot of good shots in that. So I don't know if you guys would want to look that up, but definitely
Brian
looks
wouldn't.
like it looked like there's going to be some clickers. So I don't know if that ruins anything for you, Kyle. So I think the crater is definitely going to have some impact in the next episode with clickers as well. So I think it's going to be a nice blend of clicker action as well as people versus people action, and then just more development between Ellie and Joel with the introduction of Sam and Henry. So I think next episode is already on its way to already be potentially the best episode so far.
You and your previews, which I say I don't want to see it, and I'm gonna freaking look it up probably. But I think that I would agree with everything you guys are saying, especially Brian. With most likely, if I really had to go, I would say maybe this was the 4th best out of the 4 so far, just because the other ones were so strong. And again, baseline is great, so 8 or above is still phenomenal for this type of show. This show has been killing it. I do think we're going to look back in hindsight at this episode and think it's more important than it actually was in like right now, just because when you're thinking of, we brought this up before with Joel and Ellie, and we talked about the zombie apocalypse, whether it's, The Walking Dead or this show, or what's the one we always brought up? What's the movie, Kyle?
World War Z.
World
War Z. I'm sorry. They say it's a zombie apocalypse movie, but it's really about the people and the relationships and how people react to these situations. And this was the best character development episode, I would say, so far between Joel and Ellie. And we know that this show is going to be Joel and Ellie. So if they nail, and it seems like they are, if they nail this relationship throughout the season, and that's where you're going to be like, all right, if Joel and Ellie, if you don't feel for them together, then you're not going to care about the show. And we're already showing in episode 4. Episode 3 was getting there. at the end of that episode, there was some moments, but episode 4 is really hammering down that there is going to be this great connection on screen between Pedro and Bella, Joel and Ellie. And I think we're going to look back and say, all right, this is where it started, and this is the start of a great trajectory for the rest of the season.
I love it. I love it. And for me, it's been 2 episodes. We haven't seen any zombies, and this is supposed to be a zombie show. So I hope Dave's right and we get some clickers in the next episode. But that's my only complaint. Other than that, that's going to do it for us. Episode 4, The Last of Us coverage. As always, if you like what you heard, give Bingetown TV a follow on Twitter and Instagram. Visit us on BingetownTV.com and subscribe to our show on Spotify, YouTube, the Apple Podcast app, or wherever else you. Once again, we are.
I don't know what just happened.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah.
So I think my cord is a little bit finicky, so it kind of unplugs itself, and I get a notification, and it takes 1 second for it to plug itself back in. So if I'm
Do it one more
talking, I
time.
can notice it.
I mean, we
No,
know
it's
we know no
100%
one
fine.
listens to the fucking
Yeah,
end of the
it's
It's
episode
100%
anyway.
fine.